Hello, welcome back to my channel, Andrew Winnipeg Podcast Manenko. This segment is called Andrew Reads the News. I'll be reading from Winnipeg Free Press, January 10th edition, 2021. All credit goes to the Winnipeg Free Press, and all credit goes to the Canadian press, who produced this fine work, Regimental Funeral Procession for Calgary Officer. Again, this is just for educational purposes. Regimental Funeral Procession for Calgary Officer. Calgary. Police officers and military members lined the driveway of the Calgary Police Headquarters on Saturday while a pair of CF-18s flew past to honor an officer killed in the line of duty. The funeral for Sergeant Andrew Harnett was held privately in another part of the city, and because of COVID-19 gathering restrictions, there were no requests to line the route from the ceremony to the police station. Still, some bystanders along the way appeared to know what was going on. At a busy stop, a couple stood beside a bench, the man with his right hand over his heart. And as the motorcade approached the turnoff of the police station, dozens of people watched from a pedestrian overpass. Harnett died on New Year's Eve after he was struck by a vehicle during a traffic stop. 2 people have been charged with first-degree murder in his death. The 37-year-old leaves behind his wife, Chelsea, who is to give birth to their first child in the summer. Harnett was also a former member of the military police in the Canadian Armed Forces. Officials said due to COVID-19 restrictions, only people who were invited could attend the 1 p.m. regimental funeral. The Calgary Police Service was granted an exemption from Alberta Health to allow 50 people to take part in the ceremony, but the service says it came with a set of strict protocols and stringent oversight by health officials. The funeral was not shared publicly at the request of the family, police said, but the procession was live-streamed. Officers in regimental uniforms, including Mounties in red serge, wore masks and stood 2 meters apart on the sides of the police headquarters driveway, casting long shadows in the light of a winter afternoon. Two cranes on either side of the driveway suspended a giant Canadian flag, and officers saluted as the hearse slowly made its way towards the station and around the loop in front of the building before finally heading out again. 2 Royal Canadian Air Force CF-18 Hornets from 410 Squadron at 4 Wing, Cold Lake, Alberta, roared past overhead. The fly past was to pay respect to Harnett and honor his service and sacrifice in protecting Canadians and citizens of Calgary, both as a member of the Calgary Police and a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces. Earlier this week, civilians and first responders also lined a Calgary thoroughfare as police vehicles escorted Harnett's remains from the medical examiner's office to a funeral home. Harnett spent a dozen years with the Canadian Police Service, and his family said he had been looking forward to becoming a father this summer. A 17-year-old who police believe was driving this SUV on New Year's Eve, and an alleged passenger, 19-year-old Amir Abdul Haraman, are charged with first-degree murder in Harnett's death. Here we see this image. Officers salute as the hearse and honor guard pass at the funeral service for Calgary Police Service Sergeant Andrew Harnett in Calgary Saturday. Harnett died on New Year's Eve after he was struck by a vehicle during a traffic stop. Thank you.